Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome to a very special part 1 of 2 edition of the 3 Grumpy Simmers. And of course, we are here because it is the beginning of the festive season. The turkeys have already been eaten in America and Canada, and the snow is starting to fall, and in Australia we are starting to go on fire. So, of course, the year is coming towards the end, and it's a very important time for us to reflect as we like to do at the end of the year. And of course, we get to do a bit of fun. We get to be a bit of St. Nicholas and a bit of giving away of the fun stuff, which we always love to do. So, before we get too far into it, I want to say a huge welcome to my 2 other fellow Grumpy Simmers. First of all, hello to Mr. Sergio from Helisimmer.com.
Hello, thank you very much. How are you guys?
Hot, dying of heat. And of course, effervescent as always, and effaceable, amazing Tomcat aficionado, purple hat wearing, and space faring with a new outfit, Drew BelGeode.
It's been a hell of a week. I mean, that's all I've done. It's like Star Citizen. I've been running around in my purple armor and my purple suit and, checking out vehicles at the exhibition and all that. It's just nuts. People are probably sick and tired of seeing this on my channel.
Okay, for somebody who doesn't play Star Citizen, that was actually a really cool thing, because not gonna lie, I'm hugely skeptical of Star Citizen. Like, the amount of controversies that game has been wrapped up in over the last 5 years it's been developed for. It's like, I don't want to go anywhere near it, but watching videos like yours is like, okay, maybe there's something to this.
I just love like car shows and air shows and stuff like that, and this is kind of like a combination of both, so that's why I'm like, okay, they're having this thing again this year. I never went last year. I never went the year before, anything like that. I'm going to do it this year, and I'm going to make like a video for each day that they have like 2 unique manufacturers. And so far, it's actually been pretty good. I'm working on the very last video for the miniseries. It's going to be 5 episodes total.
Nice,
but
nice.
Man, oh man. Star Citizen, even though it's in a good place for an alpha, there's obviously still a lot of work. I can't tell you how many times the elevator to go down to the exhibition hall has killed me. It is nuts. It is nuts.
All right. Okay, so on that, of course, we are here at the end of the year, and it has been quite the year. On many levels, both IRL and, of course, in the simulation gaming world. And we want to sort of do a bit of reflection on the things, the year that was, and talk about some of the highlights that we've had. But probably before we do our sort of annual highlight, we do want to touch briefly on it, because a couple of days ago we did, of course, have the latest developer update come out from Microsoft on the back of the new World update, their second World update since release. By the way, I still can't believe how fast their release cycles is for this. Like, that seemed to be... I don't know, Sergio, like, we've kind of talked about this, because I sort of call on you here, because I know you and I both work in the software development space, so the fact that they're iterating out fairly major changes really quickly that's a lot of demand that's being placed on the developers there. So it's really interesting to see such a huge update come out again. So it was interesting to listen to their path forward. So what was your sort of thoughts on the update cycle? I can feel the chuckles coming through. Slow down.
Do you think there are some demand on the developers? Have you seen their faces on the dev updates on video? Those guys are completely destroyed. Seriously, watch the videos. Those guys are completely destroyed. Even York. York was the one that was, keeping this fresh look. Even York looks completely exhausted. Look at the guys. Look at Sebastian. Look at even Martial. No, none of those guys are getting it easier. And I'm sure it's not just because of COVID. But yeah, Microsoft had told us that they were going to have a lot of releases really fast. Every 2 or 3 months, they will have something new, either a scenery update or, features update, and bug fixes and everything are coming at an extraordinary rhythm. They are working really well. But that is clearly taking a toll on the team, and you can see that on the videos. Those guys are completely they seem depleted of energy, to be honest with you. And I'm not criticizing them. It's just, just look at their faces. They are tired. They are tired, and it's very obvious that they are working very hard for the community and to get the product up to speed.
And I think that really
that's the part
shows.
that gets me too. That's the part that gets me too, because yeah, you're absolutely right. They look like they are haggard. The year has done a number on them. I don't think they even anticipated the pace they were needing to go to keep pumping this out. And we still see online in all the various communities people complaining about, oh wow, these fixes are coming in too quickly, and so on and so forth. Anybody who's been around like the DCS community, for example, we can't get those fixes quick enough. The fact that Asobo's literally bending over backwards at this point to accommodate the community and fix what needs to be fixed and so on in a timely fashion, way quicker than they probably should.
That's a really yeah. So that's really interesting. So and we've talked about this actually on many episodes ago. Is that in some ways the flight simulation community is really lazy, because we've got so used to things being so stable for so long that we didn't. What FSX saw one update, two updates.
In its SP1, SP2.
So Service Pack 1 and Service Pack 2. And Service Pack 2, all that was the acceleration pack, but if you didn't buy acceleration, it was just the bug fixes that went with it. Prepared gets a couple of patches over its 2-year cycle before they release a new version. Maybe a couple of hot fixes at launch, and that's it. Explain probably gets a few more, but we've got so, as a community, we got so used to things being static for so long that unless you're in the DCS world, like you pointed out there, Drew, is that you're not used to shit actually getting fixed. Like you're not used to things. And what I found really interesting was the number of people that in the forums and the groups that are complaining that, oh, the Microsoft update just destroyed my add-on.
Yeah.
Did
if
it
I
fix?
Had
did
a
it?
dollar
If I had a cent for every time I saw that post, I'd be a millionaire by now. But no, and I guess the thing is, guys, is that the team from Microsoft Asobo, they're addressing core sim issues, and and look, not to take anything away from the fly-by-wire team, or the Iris or any of the developers that are out there that are, or even myself, for example, because I got caught on the hop with all my liveries suddenly that I produce suddenly not working after an update. At the end of the day, we have to adapt to the sim, because the sim is what is going to keep going. Now, would it have been nice if they'd given us a bit more heads up about it? Yes, but anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But the point,
they have talked about it. They have talked about it.
And they are getting they are getting more on top of opening things up to more developers and getting more developers into things like that. But the point is that if a update of the core sim breaks your add-on, please do not blame Microsoft, because it's not their responsibility essentially to backwards compatible anything that is not on the Microsoft Store. If it's on the Microsoft Store, okay, it is absolutely their responsibility to do backwards compatibility testing and make sure that they get any updates under that first. But in terms of all of us third-party external developers, they are accountable. They are not accountable to us. So please don't blame Microsoft for a start. And then secondly, also, give the damn devs time to deal with it. They learnt the same time you did that it stopped working. Like, literally. We're using myself as an example here. Like, I said, the first I knew my liveries weren't working was when one of the users of my liveries said, hey, your texture is causing my sim to CTD now. And I'm like, you what? And I fired up. Sure enough, I had the same result. And I pulled it out, put it back in, and figured it out, and I worked through to figure out what was wrong. But that took time. So, guys, we're all human. Be kind. don't be an ass. Okay, let's
Especially this time of year.
Exactly.
Lay off. They've been going all year.
And can we point out as well that I want to say, I know it's an American tradition here, and I'm sort of, Sergio, I kind of feel for you because you're being left out here because, you know, we've got Drew's the American, myself as the half American. That Thanksgiving, can we just emphasize the first word of that, please? The
Yep.
thanks, the giving of thanks part, please. Can we emphasize that? Because whether you believe in the holiday or not, or what the holiday was originally created for, that's a whole political conversation that we're going to leave aside. Be thankful for, be grateful, be thankful for what we have. Absolutely, as we always say on here, and as I preach ad nauseum, that we hold developers to account when they do the wrong thing, but every now and again, we need to stop and be thankful for how far we've come just in this year alone.
This just shows
Especially
that
this year.
people.
Yeah.
This just shows that people are never happy. Come on, people are
Have-
complaining.
have
that
you
updates
been
are
to the-
coming soon. Look, people are just listen to what we are talking about. People are complaining because Microsoft and Adobe are updating the sim too quickly. Really. That's the topic of this
Meanwhile,
conversation.
They're fixing
over
bugs.
illegal dynamics.
For real. So let me try to get this straight. A developer released a title 3 months ago. They are busting their own behinds, fixing every little thing as fast as they can, and people are pointing the finger at them.
Because they're doing it.
Well, people may not be used to it, right? But just like pretty much everything in this sim, Microsoft and Adobe are doing a lot of things that we have not seen before in sims, at least, because what they are doing is actually, and you probably know this, Tristan, is actually one way of producing software. There's a saying that goes, release early, release often,
Yep.
which means launch a product when it's minimally or
minimum
when
viable
it's
MVP.
minimum viable, when there's some viability to it,
Yep.
which means okay, people can start using it, and then we release as many updates, bug fixes, and whatever needs to be done very often, usually every month or every couple of weeks or so. That's exactly what Microsoft and Adobe are doing. They release a software early. We all know that. Let's not try and hide things. The sim was was not 100% ready for prime time. It's still not 100% ready for prime time. But we already told you guys it's getting there. It's a path. Just stick to it. Talk to Microsoft. Work with Microsoft.
Yeah.
It is a journey. So
and that's a huge thing of that is that Microsoft they've really put themselves out there and they've made the commitment that it is a journey for them, and that was the thing that we really got a sense of, that all three of us I feel got a sense of when we were at that preview event in Seattle, when we saw what we saw there and we heard the passion from the developers getting to be there one-on-one with the developers, with the people who are doing the work, the nuts and bolts, the actual bashing the keys. We really got the sense of the passion that was driving them. So we knew that they were here for the long haul. And what we're seeing so far is that we're seeing that commitment. We're seeing that commitment. Yes, it's only been, I can't believe it's only been 4 months. 3.5, 4 months. I cannot believe it's only been that long. Anyway.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
I know. But look how far we've come in that time. Like, that's insane. The amount of distance even the Sims come in that time. And that's just...
I think it's safe to say that the honeymoon period, at least for the devs, is over. They got over the celebration of launch and so on and so forth. And now you get down to the real work, going to be maintaining and improving the sim. But, we're still making progress.
Yes.
Going back to the original point of the topic, the dev Q&A that they just had recently, we're actually making progress. Unless you've been living under a rock, one of the major things that came out that I'm absolutely excited for, VR is finally coming. We actually finally have a date for VR. December 23rd. Merry Christmas to everybody out there that's got a VR headset, because it doesn't matter which headset it is, it's going to work with Microsoft Flight Simulator. You know how hard I fought for that one?
Seriously,
surprise.
I was incredibly surprised with that because, okay, so I knew that, so the Reverb G2 and the Windows Mixed Reality headsets, they were going to be supported, but I honestly was not expecting them to go outside of that. I actually, and I just assumed for business decisions they were going to close that gate. Like, they're going to keep that. They were going to play gatekeeper on that for as long as they could, reasonably get away with it. So I'm really surprised, genuinely surprised that they've gone, you know what? Merry Christmas, everybody. Everybody with a VR headset, fill your boots, go nuts. That is incredible. And not only interesting business decision to make, but also as a technological achievement to go that far and to be able to make that commitment to us. Like, that's a huge deal. Like, okay, I'm not quite as, I'm excited about it, and I'm not normally excited about VR because I don't use it. But I'm excited about having VR for everybody. VR for everybody.
You get VR.
Like the proud Billy goes, I did it.
Everybody gets a VR.
So getting that involvement
that's just
is
one
huge.
of the things.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things. I mean, with the community itself, rallying behind, inspired, because we've been showing a lot of shit over the last few minutes regarding the community and how they've been treating the day. This is one aspect where I'm really glad that the community themselves did not back down, because there's no way in hell I alone could have convinced the developers, Microsoft and Asobo, even by meeting them in person and getting in their face about it. There's no way that I alone could have convinced them that this thing needed VR. It was the community that made their voices heard, and I guess rallying behind me for the most part, to actually prove to them that, hey, we're here, this thing needs it, this thing will benefit from it. And I think the absolute best thing was a few weeks ago when Jorg was in that interview and they asked him about VR, and he was like, holy shit. I'm like sitting there just like the proud Billy Goat, and I'm going, I told you, didn't I?
So I'm going to add to that, actually. I'm going to add to that, Drew, because it wasn't just that the community rally ran, because absolutely, the community rally ran you for driving that, but also the way the community rallied around that is that unlike, unfortunately, some other aspects of things that have been on people's wish lists, is that the VR message was nothing but positive. There was no, if you don't do this, I won't spend my money, or I boycott it if, without this, or, oh, your Sim's shit if you don't have VR. There was none of this. There was we see what you're doing, Microsoft and Asobo. You're doing great, but we think you can do better. We think you can go that extra mile. We want you to we support you. We want you to support your vision. Let's expand your vision and make it and add VR to it. That positivity, that growth, that passion came through without the negativity, because there's enough negativity in the world of 2020, and there's enough toxicity in the rest of the flight simulation community that really the positive image, the positive message that was sung by everybody who wanted VR was so refreshing to see. And it really, really was. So that was great to see. So yeah, I'm totally going to say that it wasn't just that. It was about the positivity that came with that message, that the whole community got behind that and really went positive with that message. So that's why I was really, as I said, another thing that I was really happy to see, that watch our community come together, because there are moments where I'm really, really sad about our community, and other moments where I'm incredibly proud of them. That was one of my pretty incredibly proud moments. I really, really was.
And we need to congratulate Asobo on an amazing feat, because I know, and probably you probably know as well, Drew, as you were talking with the developers, I know how much trouble they went, how much work they had to get VR to work on this, because the engine did not support VR from the start, so it was a huge amount of work, and I'd like to take the chance to pick this up and help. And help make a point, help show something with VR that will help us with the next conversation, with the next topic in regards with development update, which is VR needed to be in the sim as early as possible, because when we develop software, the way of developing software is stacking things on top of each other. So you need to get a dependency done properly so that you can build on top of that. And VR is not something that you can leave to be the last thing to add to a game or to a title, to a sim, or to whatever.
It needs to be part of the foundation. You need to build a firm foundation, which is really what I think Asobo is doing right now.
Exactly. So it needs to be in as early as possible, so that you build the rest of the software on top of it, and you fix stuff that gets broken for some reason as you develop. You don't do a whole sim, or you don't usually do a whole sim or do the whole title and then add VR to it unless you are pretty sure of what you're doing. It may bite you in the ass. Okay, so VR was something that, in my perspective as a developer, needed technically, not just not just for the fact that I use VR, I love VR, I'm on the bandwagon just like Drew. So we didn't need VR just because it's cool, but we needed VR from a technical standpoint, because we needed this to be stable on the sim as Asobo develops the rest of the sim. Okay, as opposed to other things, such as, for example, helicopters. Okay, helicopters need to be developed on top of other things that helicopters depend on. Okay, so I'm just stressing this because I've been having some interesting conversations on the official forums.
You don't say.
Yes, you have seen. Yeah, okay. There are some guys trying to shout their lungs out about helicopters. I've tried to explain them that, Microsoft needs to fix stuff before we get helicopters, because there are stuff that is broken. I don't want to have broken helicopters on a sim that probably will never be fixed for the entire lifespan of the program, just because the underlying, the baseline for the software is not there yet. Okay, so VR being added right now was a pretty amazing thing, because we know that everything else that's going to be built on top of the sim is going to be built for VR as well. So they will continuously fix anything that may broke VR or vice versa. That's a good point there, and I'm really glad that Microsoft added VR right now and not in 6 months or a year. And congratulations.
I think it's probably safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that the vast majority of the helicopter flight simming community uses VR. Like, we're probably the biggest segment of VR users out of all the flight simmers, because of the fact that it's become so integral to our flying.
Exactly. I have actually written an article about it, saying that simming is the epitome of VR, and I think helicopters are just this slice of the market that really, really not only experiences VR like no one else. Because I've seen guys flying airliners, for example, and they say that VR is boring. Yeah, VR is boring.
That is absolutely right, because
inside the room.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And that's to do with, and I'm going to put my non-flight simming hat on for a second here. That's actually to do with your scan, and your activity inside of a cockpit. So the best markets for VR is going to be helicopter and military combat, because in those two environments, you are always active. You are always doing a scan. You are doing a scan every 6 seconds. You're going through, you have a set of flows that you go through, each flow, and each iteration has a slightly different flow, but you're doing that in order to either one, keep alive in the case of combat, or in the case of helicopter, to stop yourself, keep you alive from stop yourself from falling out of the sky.
Right.
So both of those environments, you are always active. You are always active. You're needing the immersion. There's that word. There's that word. That word again. And you're going to need to be able to see things very clearly. With the airliner, again, no offense to the airline community, your scan is very different. It's very slow. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's why the VR experience for airliners, and hell, the Track IR experience, the I was funny. It was funny actually. Like, I will own this. Is that I was astounded when I was speaking with a group of airline pilots, and basically none of them use Track IR, and I was like, "What? I'm sorry. What? How do you sim without some form of eye tracking? Like whether it be VR or Track IR or whatever? They're like, they don't need it." And I was, and I sat there and I was like, what do you mean you don't need it? You need to look around the cockpit. And then I actually sat and thought about it and I went, you're right, actually you don't. Because they look at their PFD, their FMS, and that's it. Occasionally they'll look at a secondary display, but you can bind all of those to a view look key. So they don't need Track IR, they don't need VR. And as I said, there's nothing against that way of simming. But to your point, Sergio, you're right, is that in order that the market for VR is very much geared around combat and veer around helicopters. And funnily enough, and speaking on your things of building up layers of base, what was the initial primary market for Microsoft Flight Simulator? It was GA and to a lesser extent TubeLiner, which are less reliant on VR, more reliant on head tracking in terms of GA, but less reliant on VR.
Yeah.
So, but now that we're looking and exploring and going further on, going to the world of helicopters, you're right, that to have that base level, you needed to have that, visual eye and head tracking, whether it be, Track IR or VR, that has to be solid. That solid foundation has to be there in order to build on that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I think that VR is really handy, or Track IR, or whatever you need to move the camera is really handy when you need to actually have your head on a swivel, right? On combat, you need to be aware of what's outside. In a helicopter, you're flying very close to things on the ground, so you need to know what's happening. Also, you are constantly looking to the ground and seeing where is it that you're going to auto-rotate in case you have an engine failure, so you're always prepared for disaster. I would say GA, General Aviation, also it is also a market for this because you have a lot more visibility around you. You're not inside a big room like in an airliner and just looking at the instruments. GA, I think, also gets into these segments, and gliders also get
gliders, and I'm so looking forward because that's the other thing I see VR as a necessary requirement in order to move into gliding in Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Exactly.
I think
pretty much any kind of VFR flying, especially bush piloting and gliding, both of those can benefit from that.
If you need good situational awareness, if you need to look outside and not just enjoy the scenery, but actually look at the scenery so that you know what you're doing, I think VR is something that you really need. And in helicopters, even more, because the sense of the depth perception that you have, the fact that you can look around and you know exactly where each part of the helicopter is for your landings or takeoffs or whatnot, it's key, it's essential. Everyone that tries helicopters and then gets VR, everyone says the same. They immediately as soon as they get used to VR, they immediately are better pilots.
So I'm totally. That means I'm totally going to blame my terrible helicopter piloting skills on my lack of VR. Totally doing it.
I was waiting for that.
You will have zero excuses when you get VR because there's no more excuses. This is the top line. You got VR, you're a better pilot. If you suck, it's your fault.
That's it. I'm not getting VR. Never getting VR. Never getting it. So we saw some great iterations and that announcement for VR and although I suppose, Sergio, we've got to deal with the elephant in the room when it comes to helicopters. Of course, is that we've got the elephant in the room. Of course, is that we all want to see helicopters in there. I do want to see your frantic palm trees into the sim. But the date did strike a chord with some people. So of course I have to ask you as the editor-in-chief of Helisimmer.com, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts around 2022 being the announced intended date? So after that brief moment of technical difficulties, folks, so of course, as I said, Sergio, have to get your thoughts on the date of helicopters arriving the sim being 2022. I know it's maybe not what we all wanted to hear, but I do want to hear as your position there. What are your thoughts, and what's your statement on the community about that?
And how many tables have you flipped so far?
A lot of tables. A lot of tables. No, if you told me, okay, that it's guaranteed that we're going to have helicopters in 2022, yeah, it was. Yeah, I would be sad, perhaps a bit disappointed, but yeah, I can wait a bit more, even though I know that December 31st or 31, 2022, it's still 2022, so we may be looking at a couple of years without helicopters. The thing is, I don't think that 2022, I'm not sure if it's feasible for 2022 to be the actual year in which helicopters are in the sim and stable. Things take time. So it's a bit disappointing. It's a bit disheartening. I was expecting something a bit sooner. Still, like you guys have heard me say a lot of, quite often, all my other sims still work. So it's not like X-Plane or DCS or AeroFly FS2 or whatever I am using stopped working just because Microsoft Flight Simulator is out. Would I like to enjoy Microsoft Flight Simulator the same way that I'm enjoying other sims and fly helicopters around and just, appreciating the amazing job that Adobe and Microsoft did with the scenery? Yes. Would I like to be able to do a bit more than I do on other sims and do sling loading, firefighting, vertical reference, all the other stuff that Microsoft can eventually add to the sim, hopefully? Yes. Can I live until, can I survive until I actually can do that? Yeah, definitely I can do. I can use any other sims.
I think that's a really good point, is the fact that, Microsoft Flight Simulator does not exist in a vacuum. At the end of the day, we've got a large number of of sims that we have, prior to 4 months ago, were the best in the market, were the best in class for various different reasons. I mean, Prepared was there absolutely fundamentally the best in market for anything that was very large and flew very, very high, very slow. And X-Plane and AeroFly were both there for helicopters. We've got DCS for combat. So, and at the end of the day, Prepared kind of just did everything reasonably well. It wasn't particularly great at any one thing. It was reasonable at all things. So these sims haven't gone away. They are still there, and like you, Sergio, I still use, not as much as previously, but I still use the other sims. Drew, I know you've been spending a lot of time in DCS World with your favorite aviation feline.
DCS, X-Plane, and AeroFly, all of them have been getting a lot of use. Actually, the only one I haven't really used a lot of is P3D, but that's because I only 5. And I'll get there.
And for me, I still use Prepared V4 4.5. I used 5 and then got rid of it. There wasn't enough reason for me to go there at the moment. I should try the new hotfix. I should try that. But X-Plane's getting a bit of love from me. But people seem to be forgetting that. And I think actually that the one thing that I really I know you've talked about this before, Sergio, is that with helicopters coming to the sim, like VR, is that let's do it right. Then bring you into the new sim, and that's something again that Microsoft's committed to, is that they're going to do it and do it right. I think that they have done I think they've done GA aircraft and sort of anything that's that doesn't carry 300 passengers. I think they've done those aircraft incredibly well. I think that they are definitely best in class of everything else in the simulation platforms at the moment. And I think that definitely they should be proud of that, and we should, as a community, should appreciate that. Would I like to see other aircraft in that? Yes. Would I like to be zipping around in an F-14 Tomcat in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Absolutely. But fundamentally, right now, you can't break the sound barrier in the sim. Sure. Like the flight modeling isn't there for that part of the flight envelope. So
it needs to be built on top of something.
Exactly.
Same with helicopters, right?
Exactly. You can't build a supersonic flight model until you've got your subsonic flight model right. So I'm happy for them to get that right, get that foundation going before we move into that space. And I think that those people who are trying to force things in there are doing themselves a disservice as well as the rest of the community. So,
Really?
I think that it's a great. Yes, it would be lovely to have that earlier than that, and hope maybe we can get it before then. But I think the important thing, as you've highlighted before, Sergio, is that we get it right. Put it
Exactly.
in when it's right.
Yeah.
We get it ready. So.
And Microsoft is not just adding the flight dynamics. It's they want to do something more. And York said that a few streams ago when he actually mentioned that it's not just about the flight dynamics. It's not just about getting the helicopters in. It's also about getting all the heliports and helipads in the world in the sim as well, right? So
that's a lot of work right there.
It is. It is. And I was surprised because honestly, I'm not used to have this kind of work from a developer. They put helicopters into it. They perhaps do a few helipads and heliports just for people to be happy. AeroFly FS2 that does that, but they are very focused on certain areas. They don't module the whole world. Having someone like Microsoft say, okay, look, guys, we're going to give you helicopters, but we are going to give you helipads and heliports around the world. That is serious shit. That's very
insane. The amount of work that's going to take, and I didn't realize actually they were committed to doing that, because that alone that's a year's worth of work right there. Just in that.
The best part about it, he didn't even have to ask them, does it have helipads?
Because they saw the shirt. They saw the shirt and knew he was going to ask it anyway. And so they just shortcut and said, this is what we're doing. By the way,
fun fact, someone inside Microsoft already has one of those shirts.
Perfect.
I made sure someone inside Microsoft would get one of those shirts. Someone inside Microsoft has one of those shirts.
We need to make sure somebody in Asobo now has that shirt as well, by the way. We need to make sure.
Yeah, I need to.
Thanks to that guy, Casual Fridays have been canceled.
Funny enough, I know a couple of guys at Orbix that also have the shirt, and they already took it to the office.
So is that why suddenly Orbix has started putting helipads in all their sceneries? Is that why? Because of Casual Fridays and your shirts?
There's a lot of corruption going on my side. You guys know that. I actually had a guy. You guys know this. Just let me. I have to talk about it. But
his plan for world domination is coming together.
I keep saying, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that we were saying that a lot of people just forgot that the other sims exist and they didn't stop working. I had a guy actually accusing me of not doing anything for the helicopter flight simulation community because I wasn't doing anything on the Microsoft forums. Guys, I've been doing this for 5 years for all sims. I don't just work for a sim. I don't just do this for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Coming and telling me that I am not doing a good job because I'm not posting on a freaking forum for a freaking single sim. Jesus, really?
Listen, I don't get that. What do you need to be on the forums for when you've got a personal line to the CEO of Asobo, the head mucky mucks in charge in MS, and most of the devs at Asobo? You talk to them on a regular basis. What do you need to be on the forums for?
I don't know. That's exactly what I told the guy. I don't talk on forums. I talk to the actual people that do stuff. That's how we do things.
Not to mention all the third-party developers out there that's ever thought about building a helicopter. You're like Facebook. Hey, this guy's thinking about a helicopter. Boom! All of a sudden, he's in your contacts list. You got more connections than a freaking junction box.
So you can see, folks, that this is a professional nagger down here, by the way. So if you get contacted by him, you know
People
what he's going to ask.
People thought I was kidding. You all thought I was kidding when I came up with that hashtag. No,
I knew you weren't kidding. I knew you weren't kidding. I've watched something. Jesus. Anyway, so yeah, and I think that really it's a good way to sort of remind everybody that at the end of the day, this is a journey, no matter what sim it is and what platform it is. And one of the things that I think that has to come away out of this is that what Microsoft has done when we look at the other sims, because at the end, as well as we've said before, is that the other sims don't. Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't exist in a vacuum. And what was interesting, and this is something that I've seen before, is that you have a disruptor in the market, and suddenly everybody lifts their game because of that disruptor. Now, unfortunately, the previous disruptor to Microsoft Flight Simulator didn't survive. But because of them and their work, because of the work that Flight Sim World did, we had 64-bit prepared. That we had the evolution of the graphics engines that we saw with X-Plane 11. That we have the integration now of TrueSky into Prepare V5. That we have TrueSky in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So if it wasn't for the work that disruptor did, we wouldn't have seen the evolution that we have. So seeing Microsoft doing what they're doing is making the other sims lift their game. So it's still a really exciting time to be alive when it comes to the Flight Sim world. So that
they have taken the threshold, and they have just.
And Microsoft's put the threshold somewhere into like medium Earth orbit. I'm pretty sure it didn't stop at Leo. It went up. Yeah. It did.
I don't care. I don't care what people say. I don't care how broke they feel the sim is. I really don't give a rat's ass about what a lot of people say about the sim. I know the sim has issues, but let's just look at it. They have raised the bar so far high that it's going to be pretty hard to beat it.
Look what they got right. Let's look at what they got right and what they added to the world.
Even if it has issues. Oh, the scenery looks really nice, but once you get to ground level, it really sucks. Yeah, but just look at it. Just imagine how it's going to be when they...
So for everybody out there that says the terrain, the ground level sucks, right? Okay? Everybody of you out there, I challenge you to grab default prepared version 5 if you have it. If you don't have it, go and grab yourself the default X-Plane, because you can pick that up for a free demo. Default X-Plane, and go and have a look at the auto-gen of a city in that sim at ground level, and tell me which one's better with 0 add-ons.
But I get it. People are complaining about the melting buildings. We know there are artifacts. That's the thing.
The photogrammetry, that happens. It's a
brand new tech.
Exactly.
Everything is making baby steps along the way.
But you don't have this amount of level of detail on any other freaking sim. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Just look at it.
And it doesn't have its issues, as you pointed out, Sergio. It doesn't have its issues. Absolutely, it has issues. Mm-hmm. I have issues with that sim, so many. But I also look at it and appreciate the fact that I can't get what I've got in Microsoft Flight Simulator, in X-Plane or in Prepared, without spending a lot of money, and it still doesn't look that good.
Exactly.
So yeah, but that's actually a great segue for us to be able to hold 2020 up to a mirror, and look back.
You sure you want to do that?
Maybe I don't want to do that. But I do want to sort of go and I do want to sort of ask our grumpy trio here. What was a positive highlight for you from 2020 in the simulation world? What was
hands down?
What was pick something and what was your highlight?
Hands down, and I have to say this, even without helicopters, the launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator. The fact that they are raising the bar so far high that we have an amazing new technology, an amazing new sim. We have a bright future ahead. This is just the start of a path, and I'm really excited to see which direction Microsoft Flight Simulator will take, because I believe this not only will spice things up in the market, and like you said, Tristan, I think other companies have to watch out and do something. I don't like the term competition, so I would say they need to do something to compete with Microsoft Flight Simulator, but they need to do something to keep themselves
relevant.
relevant and in the market. X-Plane is always going to be X-Plane. I don't dislike X-Plane just because the scenery on Microsoft Flight Simulator is better.
You mean Austin will always be Austin?
Yes, Austin will always be Austin.
Pretty much.
Exactly. I'm very curious to see. I'm extremely curious to see what is it that X-Plane, that Laminar Research and Austin are going to do, because we never know. It's just this might sound weird, but Austin is just this beautiful, amazing wild card in which you don't know what he's going to do, but whatever it does, it's always very interesting, and it's always exciting to see a man that is following the path that he thinks he should follow and doesn't care about anything else, and that is just brilliant. He can afford to do it. He can afford to do it. That's the truth.
That single-minded focus that he has about bringing his vision to life is something that we don't see very often. That we in the flight simulation community, the only other time I can really think that we've seen it was Bill Gates when he said, "I foresee this Microsoft Flight Simulator," when he got it from Sublogic and he sort of turned it from this very basic, very minimalistic, and said, "No, I have a vision for having more, of having the most realistic world possible," and he championed that journey along. So I like you. I think it's a good point of seeing what it's going to do. So there you go. So,
so that's my highlight. And let me just grab the Bill Gates thing and the Sublogic thing. Remember when some people complained that all of a sudden Flight Simulator had 3D cockpits? Because that was a technological advance, and people hated.
People hated it.
Yeah, some people are still complaining about that today.
But you know how much people hated it? That was something of an advance, and people hated it back then. So all these things about a new scene that brings new stuff, and it's not quite working as intended, but it's disruptive. It has always happened. It will always will, and will just make sims better. Just wait for it, guys.
There you go. And for you, Mr. Drew BelGeode?
Well, I would be remiss if I did not mention
honorable mention.
F-14A delivered to me on November the 18th, which, as we all
Happy
remember,
birthday.
is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I get I finally get my proper sundowners, Tom Kitty.
Yes.
Finally.
Yes, and yes. But, I mean, aside from that, the welcome surprise of Microsoft delivering a Christmas gift to us in the form of VR, I think actually does, in fact, supersede my getting the A model of the Tomcat. Yeah. That is probably the thing that I am looking most forward to, because I guess this whole time I've been kind of seeking validation that this was the path that Microsoft and Asobo needed to go down, and we all knew it. We all knew that it's something that needed to be a part of the core experience, which is, of course, what we've been discussing this entire time. But actually being able to see the fruits of that labor, I think, is going to be mind-blowing. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's going to be phenomenal. And that's all I will say about that.
Fair enough. So for me, it is tangentially related to Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's the impact that had on the greater community. Suddenly, not all, but many of the walls and many of the roadblocks that were stopping people from trying flight simulation and trying their hand at simming and seeing is simming for them and being able to connect with other like-minded individuals. The release of Microsoft Flight Simulator made simming accessible to everybody instantly. Okay, well, everybody with a PC anyway. Okay, consoles are coming. But suddenly, you can jump into the sky with nothing but a controller. You don't need to spend. There's no need to spend, $100, or $300 on the sim. There's no need to spend $2,000 on hardware. There's no need to spend $5,000 on add-ons to make your sim usable and you look half decent. You can get on for $5. 1 month trial of Game Pass is going to cost you $5. I think the current rate is $5. At the time, it was $1.
Yeah.
You get on and you can try it for a month and see if it's for you. And suddenly, you can jump on. You can fly with your friends. You can fly with strangers who you know that you're connected by this love of aviation or this interest in virtual aviation. That moment and one of the greatest things that I had for me was, and I kind of, and I'm not gonna lie, I teared up about this, is that reconnecting with people who I haven't seen in literally 8 years. People who, so for those who know me, have been following me for a while, you know that I speak about the last Microsoft Flight Simulator in the last franchise for me is not FSX. It was Microsoft Flight. So many people out there are probably watching this video and going, Microsoft Flight, what was that? So many people have no idea about it. And I'm not going to go on my rant that I usually go on about this, but that Microsoft Flight was, for me, was ahead of its time because it made getting and accessing flight simulation incredibly easy and incredibly open to everybody. And so many people who I met and the friends that I gained through that sim, that when that sim died, suddenly they were faced with these huge walls and barriers to entry of FSX Prepared and X-Plane. Basically went, it's too hard. It's too hard for me to fly with my friends and share this wondrous experience of aviation with my friends and find new friends through it. And they went, they checked out. And then with this new sim, suddenly those barriers are gone again. And gamer tags that I haven't seen since Flight came back. And it's been so amazing finding these people and seeing these people and listening to their voices as we talk to them in chat and on Discord or on TeamSpeak. I even had to dig out my TeamSpeak login. Hearing them, hearing their wonder and excitement about having been able to come back to simming again because Microsoft have made it easy again. That made me so happy. I was so excited. I was like, yes, this is what it's about. It's about building communities. It's about building friendships. It's about building engagement with people over a shared passion. It's not about gatekeeping and saying that unless you fly 18 hours in a 797, then you are not a real simmer.
797.
And I will say this.
No, but you're 100% correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My point is that if you define what a simmer is based on a narrow set of parameters, you are part of the problem in this community. You are flat out part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying that your way of simming is anything wrong with your way of simming. Please don't think that. I 100% saw it. If you want to role play being an airline pilot and flying for 18 hours, across the Pacific, that is completely up to you. And props to you. Salute, because I couldn't sit on my ass for 18 hours in front of my computer. I can tell you that much. But if you gatekeep and say that that your way of simming is the only valid way of simming, then no, you're part of the problem, because we all start somewhere. Even you, as an individual that did that, you started simming somewhere. And we have to be open to allowing simmers of all kinds, even those that love frantic palm trees, have to be welcome into our hobby. And we have to make a space for them and allow them to enjoy the simming, their way of simming. Because their way of simming, if your way of simming is jumping in, ignoring every single procedure known to man and just simply flying to enjoy the scenery, or if your way of simming is going low and fast and trying to basically not become a grease spot on the side of a canyon wall, or if your way of simming is flying as high and as fast as you can, or if your way of simming is flying a very sedate route from New York to LA, just in exact coordinates with real world procedures, each and every one of those is equally valid and equally welcome in our hobby. So having this sim equalized everyone again and opened the doors again, and that made me incredibly happy. And I hope that sentiment continues, and that we break down those barriers to entry, because we have to keep doing that. So that was my excitement moment. It was just so amazing to see that as part of the sim. It is, as I said, it's because of the sim, but also so much more. So and beginning to see that flow on to other sims as well is really exciting. So 3 very interesting but linked takeouts from the year, which is great to see. And of course, this now leads us into the giveaway, because we do like to give things away at the end of the year. And we have got some great opportunities, some great stuff to be able to offer, courtesy of some wonderful friends of this program. We are able to offer 2 prize packs this year to the sims other than Microsoft Flight Simulator for you guys in the community. So we would like to offer you guys the chance to win. So we have 2 prize packs available. The first prize pack we have is for the sim that is, I always feel that like it's always forgotten about it. We all 3 of us love this sim, and yet none of us show it enough love. And that is, of course, iPACS' AeroFly FS2. And this is an incredible prize pack, this one. So this is a copy of AeroFly FS2, the full sim, plus all the content that is curated by iPACS. So you get the sim and a butt ton of add-ons, all delivered to you via
It's a lot of stuff.
There's so much stuff in here. We're talking scenery add-ons, we're talking aircraft add-ons, helicopter add-ons. Like, there's so much stuff in here. All of this is one self-contained prize. It's available for you guys. The other prize pack we have is another pretty damn awesome one as well. This one is for a copy of X-Plane 11 from Laminar Research, plus a copy of the Bell 222. Is that both helicopters are included in that pack? I think. Yes. Yes. It is the dual pack that includes both the wheeled and the skid version of the Bell 222, and your choice of any single add-on made by VSKYLabs. So a great package of a great core sim and something of rotary winged and something either rotary or fixed, your decision. So these 2 prize packs are available for you guys to choose from. So now it's over to you guys now to enter in. So to enter into this competition, there's going to be a link in the description down below for you guys for a form to fill out. So we're going to challenge you guys to tell us what was your greatest simulation moment of 2020. So what is your greatest simulation gaming moment of 2020? In 25 words or less, minimum of 4 words. you have to get at least 4 words in there. So up to 25 words or less. 25 words or less, minimum 4 words. No, you can't just say Microsoft Flight Simulator or Microsoft Flight Simulator released. You can't say that. You actually have to give us a story here, guys. And
give us at least a couple of sentences, please.
And it can be from any sim. It doesn't necessarily have to be from Microsoft. It can be from any of the sims that you've used in 2020.
And any sim. It doesn't even have to have atmosphere. It can be exo atmosphere as well. So write in. Let us know what your things are, and we will choose. The 3 of us will choose the 2 what we feel is the 2 greatest entries that really connected to us and really told a story. Because as you can tell, all 3 of us are about passion. We're about the engagement of the community, about what's making a difference. So we want to hear what made a difference to you guys this year. And so tell us a story, and we will pick the 2 stories that tugged on our heartstrings the most and our simulator strings the most. And we'll be announcing them very, very soon. So this competition will be running from the moment this episode goes live, and then the competition will finish on at midnight Zulu, so let's just say 23:59 Zulu on the 11th of December will be when the competition will close, and then we'll be announcing the winners very shortly after that. So you have until 23:59 Zulu on the 11th of December 2020 to enter the competition. I said follow the link in the description down below, enter in there, and we'll announce in a couple of days shortly after that. So looking forward to seeing what you guys all come up with. Right. There you go.
Make it good.
Make it good. Tell us a story.
And watch that grammar. Watch that spelling. I'll be watching.
We got the finger wag in. I thought we were going to go an episode without a finger wag. Thank goodness that we got the finger wag in there. All right, so that is going to wrap up this episode, guys. Go forth, enter. We hope you guys are being safer this year as well. Final thoughts from my two grumpy simmers.
Drew?
2020 can bite it. Okay? I'm done with this year. I'm just done. When I can say that the greatest achievement that I've had this year is living to actually see 50, that's bad. That's just bad. I'm so done.
I think we're all done with 2020.
Yeah. I'm not even. I don't even know what to say, guys. 2020 has been. It has been harsh. It has been really harsh.
It has.
Yeah, it has been pretty much everything that could go wrong. Also went wrong with everything.
It's been Murphy's year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been terrible and plagued with terrible things and terrible stories, and it's been just absolutely horrible. At least for me, from a personal perspective, and you guys know, well, recent history from my family, things have been really, really rough. So I didn't even know. You, Drew, sent us a meme the other day saying that, what if 2021 said to 2020, hold my beer. I'm afraid of that.
Don't put that in the universe. Do not put that out in the universe. Please don't. Just don't put that out in the universe. Like you, Sergio, 2020 has sucked in family terms as well.
Yeah.
So,
really, yeah.
So, but in spite of everything, just think of it this way: we are all still here, and not everybody's reaching the finish line this year. It's an unfortunate reality.
Yeah.
But we're still here. We still have our health for the time being, for however long, hopefully a long time.
Yeah.
And, we should at least be grateful for that. We're entering into the holiday season. There's no reason why we need to let the year just completely end in a shit.
Be kind to each other. Be good humans, please. Is the real thing I want to say to this thing, guys. Is that so together from the three of us, we want to say continue being safe, folks. Be good humans. Get your
be kind to yourselves.
Yes, be kind to yourselves as well. Drink your water. So, guys, that's going to wrap out the first of our penultimate episode of the Three Grumpy Simmers for 2020. So we look forward to seeing your entries into our giveaway for this year, and we look forward to announcing that and giving our predictions. Gazing into our crystal ball of the next episode, and we'll probably maybe even reflect on the we'll have to take some Windex to the crystal ball from last year, and we will see you guys. So thank you very much to my two fellow Grumpy Simmers. So thank you to you, Sergio, from Helisimmer.com.
Thank you.
And thank you to you, Mr. Drew BelGeode, my Tomcat aficionado, for getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning to do this episode.
Yeah, well, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be in the F-14 flying around the Persian Gulf. Might as well. At least there was coffee involved. Alrighty, folks.
All right, folks. And from me, folks, so don't forget also to head over to helisimmer.com for all your helicopter and other simulation news, and check out his channel on YouTube for some great updates for the rotary winged community. And also check out Mr. Drew BelGeode and his channel on YouTube for some fantastic stories and some great explorations through the non-atmosphered universe as well. And maybe if you're feeling generous, give my channel, give this video a like, and give my channel a bit of a subscribe here on YouTube. And you can also catch me on Twitch on a regular basis at twitch.tv/NovaWing24. All right, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all. Look forward to seeing your entries in the competition, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Yeah.